this could be. I haven't seen my Super Nintendo since 2003. That's alright, I don't mind. I've got a Switch in the old SwitchAroo. My friend Mike and Jaymo too.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Old SwitchAroo, where we're again talking gaming retro with Mike and Jaymo.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Jaymo. Play along on our epic quest to research and review all 250 plus games in the Nintendo Classics catalog. Today we are striving to see the bigger picture as we dive deep into Clu Clu Land for the NES and Mario's Picross for the Game Boy and Super NES in an episode we are calling Stegano-Graphic Imagery, Viewer Discretion Advised. Now, Mike, I learned a new word for today's title, steganography. Are you familiar with it?
It's when you draw a stegosaurus, right?
Yeah, well, you could with little boxes. Yeah, kind of. It's the art of hiding an image or message within an object. And I think it's easy to see the connection with today's titles. But speaking of connection, I'd like you to please welcome our new friend by way of the underrated movie podcast. It's Andrew from the Nothing New Remake Podcast. Andrew, why don't you reveal yourself to our listeners?
Hello. I'll reveal myself all at once and not one line at a time or
Okay.
one dot at a time.
I mean, in a way, you are revealing yourself one line at a time because you're just
That's
talking.
true.
Oh,
Transcript joke.
wow. We're crossing over from imagery to words and back to imagery.
There you
We're
go.
multimedia.
Speaking of multimedia, though, Nothing New. Tell us about it because I'm a fan.
Thank you. Nothing New, a remake podcast, is something that myself and Justin Keyson, my co-host, we do every month, an episode talking about film remakes. There's a lot of them. They're definitely never going to stop. They've been going on since the beginning of Hollywood, so we're happy to talk about an original film and its remake forever. It's truly there's a lot of them out there. Disney keeps doing live action remakes of their animated films. There's an unending amount of remakes, and I think they're really fascinating, the good and the bad. So that's what we do.
I love it academically because, well, first of all, I think as a concept, it's great because a remake, everyone has a hot take, which is either that the new one is actually better or it's trash, right?
Yeah.
But when you went through one of your episodes, you kind of took us all the way back to the beginning of film, and it's like remakes have always been around. It's not this weird trend. It's a timeless thing. But so is this a lame question to ask? I don't know if I should ask this, Mike, but I'm curious what each of our favorite remakes are. I think there's objectively a right answer, right? It's John Carpenter's The Thing is the best remake of all time.
Wow.
Come on.
That's a pretty good one. I'm a really big fan of the Greta Gerwig Little Women.
Okay.
And when we did our episode, we compared it to the 90s version. And I just think, Greta Gerwig found the new way to tell that story that has, because there's a version from the 40s, there's a version from the 30s. They did a TV show, there's a Hallmark show, there's a Hallmark Christmas movie about it. That Little Women story has been told so many times, and somehow that Greta Gerwig version, I was like, oh, you cracked it in a new way. It's and got a great cast to do it, and that really excited me to see that.
I didn't know that was a thing. I am absolutely Googling that as soon as we're done here. I didn't know she did Little Women. Mike, do you have a favorite remake?
The first one that I can think of, I think falls more into readaptation, would be Muppet Christmas Carol, although Airplane, as basically a comedy remake of 0 Hour, is also very tempting.
Oh, right. It's like a parody of that.
Yeah, and it's very weird because some of it is so direct that the setup is already in the original movie. So you watch the original movie and your brain starts completing jokes because the setup's there, but not the punchline because they just added the punchline.
Oh, it's in the vein of superhero movie. I don't know if you guys ever saw that, but it's kind of a shot for shot parody of the first Spider-Man film. And it's beat for beat. So you're right. I didn't realize that. I got to see this not funny Airplane I guess it's not the spinoff though. Airplane is the spinoff.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny in its own way. Like,
Yeah,
there's a reason they picked it.
awesome. Well, definitely going to check that out. But for right now, guys, I think these hidden treasures aren't going to expose themselves. Are you ready to peek behind the curtain?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so let's start off with Clu Clu Land on the NES, released in 1985. As described on Nintendo Classics, the greedy sea urchins have stolen all of Clu Clu Land's gold bars and buried them in a series of mazes. As Bubbles, a brave bubblefish, he'll set out to uncover all of the gold bars in each maze. But you have to be careful. Sea urchins will pursue Bubbles relentlessly, and there are also dangerous black holes that must be avoided. Bubbles isn't defenseless though, as she has the ability to stun sea urchins with sound waves and quickly change direction using posts scattered throughout the stages. Not only that, but the locations of the gold bars in each maze form the outline of another object. So once you know the object, you're well on your way to finding the gold. With 21 stages to complete and increasingly complex conditions, like having to pass over the gold bars twice to uncover them, you might just want to bring along a friend for help. Oh my god, what's long?
Is this like the most overly complicated explanation of what happens in this game?
Yeah, although it leads to some interesting things like I think this may be our first game with the female protagonist that we've covered.
I was going to go into that with the trivia, but Bubbles is low-key a leading pioneer in female characters in video games. Because like even Miss Pac-Man predates this by 2 years, but Miss Pac-Man is Pac-Man with a bow. So I think there might be an academic argument that Bubbles from Clu Clu Land might be the first like fully original female protagonist of a video game.
I also find it just odd that like Bubbles the Bubblefish feels so lazy.
Close enough. But when I read this description, Mike, and I ran out of breath reading it, I remembered that Phantasy Star 4, I think, has a 2-sentence thing. It's like, young man bands with his friends to fight a great evil. 48-hour game in Clu Clu Land. It's too much. Well, since the box art was often people's first impressions, let's take a look at Clu Clu Land's box art for the NES. For those who've never seen it before, the North American box art of Clu Clu Land is more or less a screenshot of the game, which, as Abe Simpson would say, was the style at the time. Bubbles is zipping up to the top of the box, blasting out a sound wave attack at an unseen enemy while reaching out to grab a turn post. Andrew, you picked this game. Did you have the box as a kid?
No. I need to reveal my first interaction with Clu Clu Land was through Animal Crossing.
Oh, nice.
On the original Animal Crossing, they had it where you could acquire NES games to play in your house. And so I loved collecting those and finding all of them and getting them all together. And Clu Clu Land was fascinating. I'd never seen a game like this. And the box, it's very funny because the box art is exactly what is in the game, but it really doesn't prepare you for the gameplay itself.
No, not in the slightest. Like, Mike, look at the turn posts, Mike. What do those look like to you? Because they don't look like turn posts because they're viewed perfectly from above.
Eggs?
Like, I was thinking like a Burger Time kind of thing because those look like fried eggs and the gold bars look like blades or whatever. But I love that you encountered this through Animal Crossing. My $1 million idea. Okay, Nintendo, you listening? Okay, I don't think we ever got this in an episode yet, Mike. Did you played Animal Crossing on the Switch, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay, and did you play it quite a bit like most of us did?
Yeah.
So when the next one comes out, we're all going to be a little sad to have lost the islands we worked so long on, right? So my $1 billion idea is that in Animal Crossing for the Switch 2, you should be able to buy a Switch and play your old island game within a game style. And all it's really doing is just booting up the other game really quickly. But then now this thing you worked hard on is like a decoration in your house. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
I mean, at that point, just have it be a launcher and you can play anything within it.
Well, yeah. Nintendo Classics should be playable from within Animal Crossing.
It is funny to think that in Animal Crossing they were just giving us these games, and now it's like, okay, now pay us a monthly fee to even get access to them.
But it's interesting though, because like the price of Nintendo Switch Online is crazy low compared to other gaming Xbox Game Pass style services. It's still I think $20 or $30 for a whole year. and that's like my monthly fee for Xbox. But you're right, though. It is kind of funny, like how we're viewing and valuing these old games. I think that's interesting. Can we all agree the Japanese box is better? Like, I love this box.
Oh yeah.
Andrew, what's better about it?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, it's like you understand what you're looking at. It's the first thing. But I love the old box art that is like a dramatically different art style from anything in the game. And so it's like I just love this. This is what we're supposed to be seeing,
Yes.
but because of pixelated graphics, what we actually see is what we're seeing. But it's like this is what it's supposed to be.
It's a cartoony Saturday morning comic, kind of cereal box mascot sort of drawing, and Bubbles is fleeing from a pair of sea urchins towards the customer. But more importantly, now you can tell she's whipping around the turnpost. She's grabbing this turnpost as she runs, and the momentum is carrying her in a circle towards the gold bars. It's like, it's actually a really clever way to communicate kind of what this game is going to play like, or is supposed to feel like anyway.
I find it fascinating that this feels even less clear that those are sea urchins and she's a fish. I don't think you could show this to anybody alive and ask them, what are these meant to be? And figure out that A, she's a fish, because there's nothing fish-like. And then obviously, like, hands and feet are not generally associated with fish. And the sea urchins feel more like amoeba or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely don't read as like spiky.
Yeah, there's no, they're really not spikiness there.
I wonder if the fish was a later idea. They just had this kind of concept and they were like, well, why is this happening? And they're like, yeah, she's a fish.
Right.
Because I could kind of looks, I mean, the amoeba thing, it's like, and then she's red, like a red blood cell. Like, did this start as like it's inside your body, like protecting you, but now they were like, oh, that's too weird. Let's just make her a fish.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the fishness of the main character Bubbles kind of serves the gameplay because you can't go backwards, right? Just
Yeah.
how fish can't swim backwards, so you have to be constantly going in a direction.
Because if she stops, she'll die like a
I mean,
shark.
yeah, we saw that in two-player mode. We'll get to it later, but when you get stuck in Clu Clu Land, it don't go great. So this was developed and published by Nintendo. It was directed by Kenji Miki, whose work we have seen many times on this podcast, including Baseball, Wario's Woods, Mario Party, Pokemon Snap, Mario Kart Super Circuit, and our game from last episode, Mike, Blast Corps. Like, this guy is Mr. Nintendo Switch Online. Excuse me, Nintendo Classics. Sorry. I've got some knowledge of Nintendo Power trivia for you guys. Clu Clu Land was released as Kuru Kuru Land in Japan. Kuru Kuru is considered an onomatopoeia in Japanese, commonly used as an adverb to describe something moving in circles.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure why localizers thought that Clu Clu was better, because to me it almost, this is real stupid, okay? But when I hear Clu Clu, I think it's going to be like a mystery game. Because the only context I have for the word clue is a hint, or Tim Curry.
Maybe that's what they wanted.
So I don't know.
I mean, it is a mystery. You're revealing the puzzle.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
I was wondering. I was like, how intentional was this?
I'm just going to put this out there. If they really want to come up with a theming that would work, keep the same name. I'm going to read on a updated version of this game. I think you can turn this into light cycles and turn this into a Tron thing, because then you have Clue
Right.
from the new Tron.
Okay. Wow. Okay. But the whole, yeah. That was better than expected. That was good, Mike. That was pretty clever. So a port of Clu Clu Land was finally the final title released for the Famicom disk system. It was a floppy disk Nintendo system that never made it to the States. And so Clu Clu was the final game for that system. Clu Clu Land lives on mostly through cameos. Multiple iterations of the game have appeared in the WarioWare series, including a 3D, reimagining of the title for the Wii title, WarioWare Smooth Moves. You ever play this one, Andrew?
No, I didn't play that one. Now I'm like, oh, I gotta go find a copy. I gotta go check out the 3D Clu Clu Land.
But to be clear, though, it's in a WarioWare game, so you get to play this for about 5 seconds.
Hey, that's sometimes that's the best thing.
The sea urchin enemies called Unira have been throwable weapons in the Smash Brothers series since 2008, and Bubbles appears as a playable character in the original Super Mario Maker, as well as in the Clu Clu Land inspired Game Boy Advance game DK King of Swing. So I thought that was kind of fun.
That's really weird.
But I'm showing the character select, and it's like the Donkey Kong characters who are much more detailed and kind of 16-bit, and then you kind of have Bubbles just over there in her 8-bit glory.
Wow, I wonder if people who played King of Swing even knew who Bubbles was. Because if I saw a character named Bubbles that looked like that in a Nintendo game, I would just say, I don't know. I would either say, I don't know who this is, or is this from Bubble Bobble? It's like so weird.
You know what I was thinking? Mike, your mind is my mind, okay?
Not usually.
Okay, well, watch this, though, okay? Will you just give me a second? Looking at Bubbles, her character design, she's a red dot with like little arms and like a little face, right? And her name's Bubbles. Mike, do you remember there was a Genesis game about a soda mascot?
It's the 7-Up dot, right?
Yeah, the Cool Spot.
Yeah.
I would think this is, look, okay, Cool Spot means a lot to a very small number of people. So
No sunglasses, though.
no sunglasses, but maybe this is what Cool Spot looks like without his sunglasses. We don't know.
I find it funny that there's a Bubbles in a mostly primate-centered game, and it is not the Bubbles the monkey.
Oh, right.
Michael Jackson's Bubbles?
Unless you know another one.
I don't. I don't.
And better stats all around the Donkey Kong. Bubbles is
Yeah.
better at Bubbles, a fish, is better at jumping than Donkey Kong.
Swinging, but yeah.
Bubbles is the OG swinger, so
Whoa.
he better have the highest stats.
Hey, don't deride the first female video game. Well, actually, you know what? Look at me though. Maybe I'm being problematic. Maybe no, you know what?
Don't shame her.
Right? Doing it. I am the problem. We got to change topics. This is getting weird. Before we get into Joy Pros and Joy Cons of Clu Clu Land, what's our history with this game and how far did we each get? So, Andrew, you said you first played this through Animal Crossing.
Yep.
Did you play it a lot? Like, did you get hooked on it, or was it just kind of this oddity to you?
Yeah, I kind of got hooked on it. It was in original Animal Crossing. I feel like, I mean, obviously I was younger, so I didn't know how to play it perfectly. I was just kind of doing whatever. I feel like I would run out of things to do around the town. And so I was like, well, I still want to play this game. And I just go play the NES games in the game. So this was definitely one that I played a lot. Because I had very strong memory of the shapes and of the bouncing, like the trampoline element. I was like, oh, I remember being really pissed off at those things.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, we'll get into it with the Joy Cons. I think we're gonna have a lot of those. But so, Andrew, do you have an opinion about whether or not you've beaten this game? Like, do you know what would you consider beating Clu Clu Land?
I mean, there's a limited number of shapes, right? There's got to be. What did it say? Like 21 shapes or something?
There's like 8 shapes that
okay.
cycle.
There's 20.
Okay, and so being that this was originally, at least in part, an arcade game, there's no credit sequence to reach.
Mhm.
There's levels 1 through 22 are like your first like series of shapes and whatever, and then 23 to 42 everything repeats, but this time you can't. Okay, so I should first say, for people who haven't played the game, the goal is to collect all the treasure, and the treasure forms a secret image, right? But after level 22, if you pass over treasure you've already found, you will flip it face down and have to activate it a second time. It's brutal.
I think I've made it that far and then died because I didn't understand what was happening and then just died.
It's weird. It's like this game's already tough, and you're like, why do I suck at this game all of a sudden?
Yeah.
So I also made it that far, but did not get through the hard mode. So I don't think I beat this. Did you, Andrew?
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't consider that I beat it because I couldn't have gotten past 1 or 2 of those hard mode levels. That just sounds infuriating. It's already hard. The control scheme on this game is like difficult by design, but it's so different from anything else that you've controlled. So it's like fun to play, but I would not take the time to beat it if I hit that point and I was like, yeah, I'm over it.
Yeah. And even rewinding, it gets tough.
Oh yeah.
And that still felt impossible. Mike, how'd you do with it? And had you ever encountered it before?
So I'd never encountered it before. I kind of gave this game like 2 shots. And the first shot was because I'd gone through the manual. The manual somewhat explains this. Most notably, it also, so there's sort of a structure of, I think, like 4 levels and then a bonus level. And so each of the 4 levels, there's a different background color or wall color, I guess, really. And there's a few possible patterns that you could have on each of those. So based off the color, you're kind of limited down to it can only be a few shapes. Mm-hmm. And the manual actually has that in there. So the first time I played this was I just gone through the manual and I was getting fed up with this game quickly. The second time through, I actually printed out that page of the manual so I had it next to me so that I could really quickly keep an eye on what shape this was supposed to be.
Did that help?
It helped somewhat. It still gets fairly frustrating because you have a fairly short time interval. It's a very large number that counts down very, very fast, and that's very unpleasant. But there's these trampolines, and kind of that's it, I'm done with this game, was the point in which I got stuck between 2 trampolines and just had to watch until the time ran out and I died, not being able to do anything. And it took a while. And that was the point where I'm like, you know what, this is enough for me. So I think I've seen at least all the patterns over multiple attempts, but it was like, I don't need to go further. This is frustrating.
Is that why you asked on the Discord what constitutes beating it? Because I've seen every shape. So did I technically do it?
No, I was asking that actually for a different game that we may get into. We may have to get into that distinction later.
Gotcha. Well, okay, so we're kind of already getting into the negatives, but Andrew, what did you like about this game when you encountered an Animal Crossing? Like you said, the movement was really unique, which I agree. Like, for better or for worse, I've never really played a game quite like Clu Clu Land, where the main character is constantly moving and you are just more steering her than controlling her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because a lot of those, maybe not a lot, but those kinds of NES games, there's like the side scroller, which is like you just go left to right and beat a thing, and then there's like this where it's like you have a screen and there's something that you have to accomplish, and it's just all on one screen. And even for the ones that are all on one screen, it's usually just like, okay, jump to the top or get to an exit. And this one is like you have to move around. I mean, this is like Pac-Man on steroids. This is like you are moving around this entire stage. You don't know where the gold bars are. But then once you start to figure out where the gold bars are, even then you're like, okay, I need to turn, and then you hit a trampoline. And it's like it has its own challenge, and it plays fast enough that I didn't find myself getting bored of it that fast and not frustrated enough. And luckily, I didn't get stuck between 2 trampolines ever. But if I did, maybe I would quit at that moment. I did playing it on the Switch with the rewind capability was pretty good until the rewind is not exact, and so sometimes you have to be very precise in rewinding and then turning, grabbing the right thing to turn, and then you just still die anyway. So I think there was one time where I rewound like 10 times because I just kept missing the turn, and I was like, how can I do this even with a rewind ability? I can't get the shape in the time limit. It's crazy, but it's fun.
Yeah, it is very fun. And I also, so I cheat to try and beat as many of these games as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you say like, oh, I had to rewind like 10 times. Like, that's nothing. I've rewound like 15, 16 times in a row to get through like Ninja Gaiden.
But rewinding on this feels like you're going insane because
yes, because it's not true rewind. It's like every second and a half or something. I've gotten used to it, but Mike, we'll have to do a filler episode between seasons and talk about Nintendo World Championships, because I bought it and it is essentially rewinding the game. It's 8 seconds of a retro challenge, but every time you fail, it rewinds you automatically. And like that in itself, I think is really fun. But I think it especially made this game more fun because, Mike, my heart went out to you. I was just like, not rewinding. This game must be brutal.
I'm definitely like, I'm disappointed this was not originally an arcade game because you die as fast as you would expecting that. But in an arcade game, when a port of an arcade game, when I would be at game over, it would let me just like that would just let me go, okay, no, just let me continue, please. But the fact that every time it's game over, it's all the way back to the beginning was the part where it's like, yeah, this is frustrating, which actually like does lead me to the question, because it's sort of like setup of like 5 levels in a loop. in a sense, is when you get back to like the base level of patterns again, which would be like the 6th level you're playing.
Yeah.
Is that the same speed as the first time, or is it still sped up?
It's still sped up, and the more times, so like Mike said, you go through a certain number of shapes and you go through loops, and every time you complete a lap, if you will, the game gets faster and the game adds more enemies and they make the point bonuses more stringent. So it's just getting more difficult and more difficult and more difficult until eventually it changes the rules on you at the halfway point and says, well, now you can only touch the gold bar one time. And that's just so much to manage. I do like Bubble's sound wave attack because, like, Andrew called it like Pac-Man on steroids, and I always thought that a Pac-Man style game with any kind of offensive capability would be kind of fun. And so for those who haven't played it, she'll shoot the sound wave, and thankfully they're unlimited. I feel like lesser devs would have put a cap on how many times you can shoot it, but you can just spam it, and when it freezes one of your enemies, which are these sea urchins, you run into them and you don't kill them, like you don't eat them like a Pac-Man ghost. You push them all the way to the side of the level and slam them against the wall. And like I did that to a guy at a party once. Tommy, I miss you. Lovely man, lovely man. But I'm just saying, I have jokingly slammed one of my friends into the wall before, and it's very satisfying in real life. So it's also fun in this game. It's not weird.
Okay, one interesting bit here that I've just noticed, because you talk about the complaint that it changes up the rules on you,
Yes.
and so that at that point you can only go over it once over the gold bars.
Yeah.
The description of the game says that they add the increasingly complex condition that you have to pass over the gold bars twice to uncover them.
Yes, I think that's the first way the rules change.
Okay, so it does that, and then it does it so that if you pass over, you have to pass over it. If you pass over it twice, it goes away.
I think so.
Okay.
They make it the condition. First, it's like, okay, just pass over it. Then the condition is you must go twice. Then if you go twice, you're punished.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is, look, this game, maybe it was made to torture people. I don't know.
I don't know if you guys have played any Splatoon, but I feel like Splatoon kind of aesthetically took some notes on this from the sea urchins and from Bubbles. Like, I think they're kind of cute, like animations, at least between levels. But I'm kind of grasping for straws because I didn't really like this game, and I'm getting the sense that Mike really didn't like it either. Andrew, what frustrates you about it? What's your Joy-Con?
Every time I would start from the top, going from level 1 to level 2, I felt like the speed increased like double. I know that the speed is increasing as you go along, but just from the first to the second level, I was like, oh, I cannot control Bubbles at all. Like I've completely lost control of this thing. And I adjusted, but it was definitely like the first level starts you off kind of like, okay, I'm getting used to the speed, and it just speeds up so fast, so quick that makes it so difficult. But yeah, that's just difficulty. I can't complain about much else. I guess maybe if it had, since it's not an arcade game, I mean, they could have incorporated some kind of like better level system to make it clear where you are. But I guess it's, the color changes kind of communicate that. And then since we're playing it on the Switch, you can just do a save state, and come back to it. So these are, modern problems on a classic game, but I don't have much to complain about. I think that's partly why I was kind of like, I was like, threw it out as a possibility to cover with you guys, because I thought, well, surely no one wants to talk about Clu Clu Land, but I will.
I always treasure these episodes because it's like we all know Ocarina of Time is great, right?
Yeah.
But now I have an opinion on Clu Clu Land. You know what I mean? Mike and I tried two-player mode right before we started recording, and I was really wishing it felt significantly more fun. But one of the mechanics is that, Mike talked about you get stuck between these two trampolines and you just have to wait until you die. The only way to get free from two perfectly adjacent trampolines is for a second player to knock you loose.
Oh.
But Mike and I were trying to do that, and it wasn't working the way you think it would. Like if we ran into each other perpendicularly, we wouldn't collide and knock each other away like you think. We
Mhm.
reached out for each other's hands, and we did not grasp them like I was hoping we would. It was just like, Mike, did you figure out how you got out? You got out, but then I got stuck. So it was like,
Yeah, I'm not fully sure how it handled that collision. Like it was coming in from the side, like passing through the trampoline almost, I think.
Right.
So yeah, not sure how that was supposed to work. And I'm not sure if there's a way that you can do that where it's like, and now both people are free, and not just that you change who's like it was like a prisoner exchange.
It kind of was. Yeah, it was dark. But like, as much as it would suck the entire identity out of the game, I think there are moments when you as a player wishes it controlled like Pac-Man and I could just turn without the signposts because it's really hectic to be spinning in circles trying to get the timing right to shoot out the right direction. I feel like it was stressful but not fun stressful. I feel like it just felt stressful. So I don't think I'm a Clu Clu defender, Andrew. I'm sorry.
Hey, I know I'm in the minority.
You know what though? Leave a comment if you also are down for Bubs and Clu Clu and all that stuff. Was there anything else you wanted to say in defense or criticism of the game before we move on to our last two titles?
Oh, another a mechanic of this game that I think is really cool is once you revealed the gold bar, the urchins cannot cross it.
Really?
So it
What?
makes it, yeah, that once you reveal, so they will stay on the side, they cannot cross a gold bar. So it's kind of, you didn't realize that?
No.
Yeah, this game is like kind of more complicated than it needs to be. And as you play it, like you feels like you're discovering things. It's, like I didn't know, like I didn't read the description, so I didn't know those were considered black holes. But I also didn't know Bubbles was a girl
A fish.
So it's like, hey, like a black hole in the sea. I don't know, maybe it should just be a whirlpool. But yeah, these little like gameplay mechanics where it's like the urchins won't cross the gold bars. I didn't know they were gold bars because they look like diamonds to me.
Right.
So
Yes.
it's truly like this game raises more questions than it answers, but it's definitely, to me that makes it like so much more interesting than a lot of these types of games. Like I feel like I've played Pac-Man because it's at arcades.
Yeah.
I'm not running to play Pac-Man, but if I saw Clu Clu Land at an arcade, I'd be like, let me get on this. Let me see what's going on here.
You're like, what's up, Bubbles? It's been a minute.
Yeah.
The control definitely, I think actually the way this controls gives it more novelty than I think it otherwise would have. Just because I think the way it speeds up and that the trampolines exist would have been frustrating in a familiar way.
Yeah.
Whereas this idea that like your turns are grab onto a post and just keep going around until you're ready to release in a direction definitely adds something. And like it is interesting when you get to the point where you start to realize that you have to go over those black holes because you have to get the gold bars that are directly next to it.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to actually cross over it. And if you go straight across, you die. So you have to swing over it, basically.
Yeah.
You have to just grab on and circle for 2 times.
But there is something to be said for that, though. Like, even just talking about Mike, it's kind of feels like gymnastics and it's dangerous and you're kind of out of control in like an acrobatic kind of sense. So, like, I really see what they were kind of going for. I don't know if they stuck the landing, to use another acrobatic phrase. But you're right, though. And I'm tempted to go back and give it one last try, knowing now that the sea urchins won't cross over the collected gold bars, because now thinking of those as like a container for the enemies totally frees up my mind to focus more on the turn posts. If I go, okay, that guy's wedged in the corner by all the gold bars I've collected, he can't make a straight line attack at me. Thank you. You know, Andrew, good thing you're here, buddy. Like, no one else is going to help us through Clu Clu Land.
Yeah. I can also definitely see a situation where, like, if this was a game that I was just kind of playing off and on for weeks, I would also probably get along with one of the other problems that was just frustrating is as things get frantic, the brain goes to like, oh, if I want to go left, I need to hit left kind of stuff. And you hit a certain point where it's like, no, I have to think about how I have to grab onto stuff. And so there was a whole lot of plowing straight into black holes because I was not hitting directions the right way.
Yeah.
They should release a version of this that's first person.
Oh, that'd be really dizzying and vomit inducing. But I was thinking though, like the one last thing I'll say kind of in defense of the game is that in some ways, Clu Clu Land feels ahead of its time because auto runners and these like auto moving platforming games are very big on mobile, where it's like you don't control when you stop or start. You steer your character. You don't control your character. So I almost wonder if this would work well as like a touchscreen game.
I'd like it to just be let me use the L and R triggers to control the left and right arms.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
Right. Because that would be better because it's not like based on direction. Because yeah, look at you, Mike. Well, no, I was gonna say you could remap the controls, but that's only Nintendo 64 games, Nintendo classics. Come on, we're trying our best here. Are you? Are you?
Meet us halfway.
Meet us halfway. I mean, hey, I can rewind on my Nintendo 64 games now. That's a game changer. It's a big quality of life improvement for your boy. Okay, so with that said, why don't we move on to our last two titles? We're going to kind of cover them at the same time because they're very similar. And that is Mario's Picross and Mario's Super Picross on the Game Boy and Super Nintendo, released in 1995. Using ChatGPT, I've combined the descriptions from Nintendo Classics. So, the game wants you to use logic to chisel away squares and reveal hidden pictures. Decipher numeric clues along rows and columns to uncover 250 brain-bending puzzles across varying levels of difficulty. Work quickly and carefully. Each mistake costs precious time. In Mario Super Picross, take on even tougher challenges in Wario's puzzle mode, or team up with a friend using a second controller. 2 chisels are better than 1. So taking a look at the box art, boys, often people's first impressions. Andrew, you said you love Picross, so did you play Picross, or is this another discovery through Animal Crossing?
no, this is I believe my first Picross was the one on the DS.
Yes.
And then I went through Picross DS, and I think I had the 3D one.
Mm-hmm.
And did they put out another one?
Yes,
I
it's been
don't.
a
They
bunch.
I was playing a bunch of Picross on DS, and then when I discovered Mario's Picross, like it was like the original. Like I just had to play it. So I actually had this on Game Boy. I got the cartridge and played it on the original Game Boy.
That's sick.
Yeah, that was fun.
Did you have the OG box?
No, this was I got
Okay.
it used somewhere. But yeah, it's a good box.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Mike, what do you think?
I don't think especially the Game Boy box of just kind of Mario's face and a few squares scattered around that don't really go into any part of the image does not really scream what this game is to me.
Right.
I think the Mario's Super Picross, is that what that's supposed to be? I want to call it Super Mario's Picross, but that's not
Everybody
right.
does. It's not right. No. This is the whole Sonic the Hedgehog spinball situation.
Yeah. I think I like that one more because by putting the numbers down at the bottom and the way that fills in squares to form the shape. If I was just shown these without titles or anything, I would know what the Japanese one was supposed to be, and I would not for the SNES one, but I would not click what the Game Boy one is supposed to be because it just makes Mario seem like this ominous, overlooking thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if it's just me, but like when I look at a picture, do you guys look at a picture top to bottom? You do, right? Like your
Mhm.
eyes start at the top and work your way down like it was a comic?
I think I go middle
Do
out.
you?
Yeah.
All right, Mike, settle this once and for all.
I don't know.
Twirling, always twirling. Okay, well, because so Mike mentioned both of the game boxes are meant to show you that Mario's face is sort of obscured in some manner, and then pixels will lead you to see him, right? But because the Super Nintendo one, like Mario's at the top of the image and the numbers are at the bottom, and I know you're supposed to be like forming him, but I almost feel like it's like Thanos snapped and Mario's like dissolving. That's just where my brain goes because to me it's Mario's disappearing, which is really unnerving to me.
Well, I think my problem with the Mario Super Picross is that it doesn't really indicate what the game actually looks like, except for the numbers. And then I think numbers look, if I see a math problem on a game box, I'm gonna say that's a game for nerds and I'm not gonna play it. Sorry. But if you put on your game box logic unlocks challenging picture puzzles, I'm gonna go, well, tell me more. What is that all about? And Mario looks like a an evil god being staring at me from beyond the abyss. Yeah, what's going on there?
Yeah, I think as a nerd that plays games for nerds, the numbers to me also is just that's a whole genre of games that I play a ton of. So
Yeah.
to me, it's an immediate, I know exactly what this is. And I can definitely see where if someone's not familiar with these kinds of puzzles, I can see someone not getting what that is.
Yeah, but that's red meat to you, though. You're like, ooh, talk to me in numbers. I'm definitely more in Andrew's, but especially as a kid, like, math wasn't my subject. I'm decent at it, but it was just like, it's not what I'm here for in terms of video games, at least when I was younger.
Yeah, and these, much like Sudoku, are one of those things where you kind of have to explain to people, like, no, you don't actually have to do math. It's a logic thing. The numbers are part of this, but it's not like derivatives or something.
It's basically just addition or subtraction, like as far as filling in boxes.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's like, can you count? That's the amount of math needed.
What's funny is I got into Picross and I was already into Sudoku a little bit. And then I did start playing some of those other more obscure ones. Like I think it's called like Kukuro, something like that. It's that one is a math game for sure. It's like Sudoku but with Picross elements. So it's like you're adding up the numbers to equal a number in the column or row. And so there's little, like through playing that, it's like you learn the little tricks of like, okay, like what do these three numbers always equal? And so you're always like going through and trying to get the numbers in the right places. Picross is like simpler than that. So that's and it gives you a little picture. So I always found that one more fun anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
I will say I was surprised to discover because the manual explained how to pronounce this because I did not realize that this is specifically a trade name.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And not a general term for this kind of puzzle.
The general term is nonogram. Nonogram. Thank you. That's what I said. I didn't get every single syllable, but I said it. Okay.
But partially because I've just come across these as there's other games that I think are trying to getting away with using that, and I'm going to say it during this way. I'm sure. Up until this, I had always pronounced those as Picross.
Oh, interesting. Pi, like the mathematical term pi, like.
Yeah, or actually, this is probably I can probably blame the fact that Python, the programming language, people have written a lot of things that use it, and it'll start off with pi something, so it'll be pi something.
I always just assumed it's because it's vaguely like cross stitch, but it's also like you're looking where numbers cross over to like form it and then pick like picture.
Yeah, no, when I saw that, it's like, oh yeah, no, I guess that makes sense of how you're supposed to say it. It's just not how I did as one of those words where it's like I only ever saw this written. So
I was like Ristar, like Rystar. I discovered that.
Is it Rystar?
It's Ristar.
Oh, it's Ristar. Okay, I always said it Ristar. So
I think most people say Rystar, but it's Ristar.
Huh.
Yeah, I found the OG like developer interviews, and I was like, hear that? They're saying Ristar.
Yeah, but people who come up with things don't always know how to say those things correctly.
That's true.
I point to George Lucas.
What does he say wrong?
I think he says Han instead of Han, which is what it is like in the movies.
Except Lando calls him Han. He's the only one. Okay, back on topic, Mike. Come on, Picross. Here we go.
Oh, and he says Gungan's funny. He says like Gungan. He says it different. Yeah.
He says it's funny because he says Gungans were a good idea.
Hey, listen. Kind of like Gungans. Kind of like them. They're cool aesthetic. They're kind of fun. Like, okay, someone's a prequel defender out there. Just saying, Mike, those movies have a lot of problems, but Gungans are not the top of the list. A specific Gungan might be, but as a race, I think you got to cool it a little bit.
Just going to clip the as a race. I think you got to cool it a little bit and take that out of context.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Anyway, I got some trivia before I'm canceled off the air here. This game was developed and published by Jupiter Corporation. They're a studio we have never encountered before on this show, but I'm confident we will see them one day, Mike. They are responsible for two Strauss family favorites, which was Pokemon Pinball on the Game Boy Color and The World Ends With You on the DS. Jonathan loves the Pokemon pinball game, and then Justin loved World Ends With You, and I never really played either one of them. So it's just interesting that this studio speaks to every Strauss except for me. So, although wildly popular in Japan, number puzzles have traditionally struggled to sell units in America, especially in the video game space. So, in an attempt to, let's say, compensate for the Western resistance to the concept, Nintendo had an aggressive marketing campaign for the Game Boy release. It had unsettling ads depicting a young teen whose brain grows so large playing this game that a supermodel comes up from behind, fondles his lobe, and giggles, "Oh, it's gotten so big." Listen, listen, Andrew. This is crazy. But I'm not being a creep. I'm being a video game historian.
Sure.
Nintendo was being creepy. Mike, I mean, right, Mike? We're gonna cut this out too. I don't know what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I think it was the marketing companies who were like backed into a corner. They said this is the only thing we can do. You got to trust us. Nintendo should not have trusted them. But I remember video game magazines, and there were some crazy
Yes.
ads in those things. So
Yeah.
this doesn't really surprise me, to be honest.
Some of them were like borderline pornographic, and then like, and I think like they were like, well, this is being advertised primarily to like teen boys.
Mhm.
So what are we gonna do to get their attention? I don't know. It's just wild that, 90s Nintendo marketing versus today's Nintendo marketing. It's night and day. So in an unexpected discovery, while playing through the Super Nintendo sequel for this episode, I discovered that Super Picross is actually rated teen, not, all ages. It's rated for teen. Do you guys have any idea why that might be?
Is it
Alcohol?
or smoking? Those are that's my go-to.
And I think guns was also
Is that a
part
gun?
of that fire.
Whoa!
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. The mafia. I
Yeah.
think.
I think it's I can't read kanji, but I think it's gangster is what it says. And it's like a guy with a Tommy gun, and then there's like little animation. So Picross, similar to Clu Clu Land in that you're trying to reveal a hidden image, but
It's mafia.
oh, is it? Okay. There you go. So anyway, you are revealed, after solving a puzzle, what the image is supposed to be looking like. And in the Super Nintendo version, it comes with little animations of people smoking and shooting and probably drinking alcohol somewhere in there.
And they color in the outline.
Yeah.
I always thought that was so fun that it was like, here's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. One point I should mention, because I don't think we've actually explicitly brought this up, is
Yeah.
while the Game Boy game is in English, the SNES one, Super Picross, told you I was going to do it.
You can do it. Mario Super Picross.
That one is in mostly Japanese,
Almost entirely.
which makes the fact that phones now can just like translate junk on the fly super helpful.
Oh, or were you pointing your phone at the screen?
Yeah.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. So like when you brought up the one that is Mafia, like that was one of several. There's some where it's like, okay, I don't care what that is, or it's clearly something. But there was a lot where like, I don't know what that is, or I want to know what they've actually said that is.
Yeah.
And I would use my phone and get it to translate it. And occasionally it would translate it into like, I forget the name for when Japanese is written using like the Latin alphabet.
Okay.
But sometimes it would do that, and it wouldn't translate to a recognizable word. It would translate to a Japanese word, but now it's a thing that I can type into Google Translate and go like, okay, well, what's that word actually mean in English? Now that I at least have it transcribed somehow.
Yeah. I like that you're like translating the game and pulling up other screens, and like you're your own man in the chair while playing this Japanese Picross game. Are you guys aware of the fact that when this was re-released for the 3DS eShop and the Switch Nintendo Classics, they had to reprogram some of the puzzles and completely change the image, but not for like an adult rating issue?
Wait for which?
Super Nintendo.
No.
So they had to
Oh.
replace several puzzles. Puzzle 5L, which is one of Wario's puzzles in the Super Nintendo version, it was originally amongst the Scream, and they changed it to a chameleon. Tetris was one of the solutions, which I thought was really fun,
Huh.
and that had to be changed to Hermit Crab because Nintendo like actually doesn't own the rights to Tetris.
There is no way anyone owns the rights to squares, though.
Like they didn't have to call it Tetris. They could just change the word.
Yeah.
Falling Square.
And then Marilyn Monroe had a cameo in this game. Her iconic lips and beauty mark and eyes, lashes, and eyebrows, but she changed to a giant tortoise.
Why now? Why Marilyn Monroe? No one owns Marilyn Monroe.
Right. Right. But maybe she was considered. Maybe her name was copyright at that point. You know what I mean?
Model isn't.
Right. Yeah, it is interesting, right? It seems like they went through a lot of work when just changing the name would have been fine, as we learned in Street Fighter.
For Marilyn Monroe to become a giant tortoise, that feels like such a big change too. They couldn't have just done another face.
It's weird that they all got replaced by like generic animals, but
yeah.
I just thought that was interesting. So much like Clu Clu Land, Picross lives on in cameo form. Mario's Explorer outfit from Picross is an unlockable outfit in Super Mario Odyssey. And one last fun piece of this game's legacy is the official guidebook that was released for Japan for the SNES version. It features a pen and paper Picross puzzles as well as an introductory comic that is the only time Peach has ever been depicted wearing the Mario Brothers coveralls, which I thought was kind of cool. It's like, you know, um, I don't know. I liked seeing her that way. I never saw her in that outfit before. Am I alone? That's kind of cool.
You're ignoring the 1993 Super Mario Brothers live action film.
Did she wear the coveralls?
At the end,
Well,
she
isn't
shows
that
up.
Daisy technically?
Yeah, that's Daisy. I'm being a crank. You know, I love bringing up the original Super Mario Brothers film. That's a good one.
And you're of our mindset, right? Where it's secretly better than the brand new one.
Yeah, I think we did a nothing new episode comparing the two, and it is shocking to me how similar the new one is. Like they are taking story beats and elements from the original, and there's no reason for this except that someone who was working on this loved the original and wanted to make sure the legacy lived on, and it does.
I will say, in design element parts for this artwork for having a Mario's Picross thing going, I find it odd because it uses this whole like chiseling thing.
Yes.
Which I'll get back to. But for this artwork, it's Mario and Luigi going down like a hallway that's like pipes and everything that does not feel like because the chiseling environment almost kind of sets it up in a way that feels very like archaeological. And so that makes the like boiler room background feel weird. But then also there is that the two other things that feel of note in this specific artwork would be that it says what looks to be Mario Jones on it.
Isn't that Brothers?
Is it? It just feels it feels almost Indiana Jones-ish.
Oh, okay, maybe.
And then Mario has like red sideburns here.
We've been over this, Mike. Mario has brown hair. You just never remember that he does.
I'm saying that's red.
It is distracting.
We've been over the brown hair, black mustache thing, where those are different colors, but this is a different color now. So really what I'm concluding here is that Mario dyes his hair.
He must.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
But not the mustache.
Right. It's a pain to, Mike, you don't have really a mustache. Like, it's a pain to dye it. Like, you don't get all toxic fumes and everything.
Yeah, but I think the rest of the hair being dyed is also a pain, so I don't do that either. So at least I'm consistent, like Luigi.
There you go. There you go.
What this image is portraying is that they found a temple of plumbers, an ancient plumbing temple, and they're going to uncover the secrets in it.
Well, we're going to put the link in the show notes, but
they're
you can
plumb the depths.
There you go. There you go. You can read this in the Internet Archive, and I don't speak Japanese or read Japanese, but I could tell from the context of the images that it begins in this boiler room situation, and Wario has kidnapped Peach but hidden like the passage to where he's taken her in the walls of the boiler room. So the first part they chisel their way through to find Peach, and then the second time, Mike, they are in an archaeological digging things out of like ancient ruin walls. So lore wise, there is actually an explanation for the whole kind of boiler room setting.
Yeah, and I will say the top line translates to Mario Jones Adventure.
Okay, so it is kind of an Indiana Jones joke. I take it. You know, Mike brought the receipts. He always does. So before we get to the joy pros and joy cons of Picross and Super Picross, what is our history with these games and how far did we each get? Andrew, can we start with you? So you said you played it on the DS. How far did you get trying out the original two games here?
Well, the original Mario's Picross, I played on the original Game Boy, and on the original Game Boy, I beat it.
Every puzzle.
Every puzzle.
You NintenDON'T.
Nintendo. Family computer.
And I did replay, quite a few, but not nearly enough. I did not complete it a second time on the Switch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. I don't know. It's a it's a good little game.
Yeah.
For the Super Mario Super Picross, I did not complete all the puzzles, but I jumped around quite a bit, and this was my first time even knowing that this existed. I didn't even know there was an untranslated version for Super Nintendo for that I could play on the Switch. So that was kind of a fun discovery.
Yeah. It's more of this kind of style of game you really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, so I feel like you are very good at these puzzles. How far did you get?
Because yeah, this is a style that like I've talked about these kinds of games on multiple Light Switch episodes. There's at least one that I've done in one of my sort of short reviews on the Old SwitchAroo's website. I own more than that. So I didn't have any familiarity with these going into it. I'd started off with the Game Boy Mario's Picross, and that one was... I'll get into the specific pros and cons and a bunch of this a bit later. I started better with that one, switched over to Super Picross, and then immediately went back because I was definitely preferring the first one.
Really? Okay.
But so for the first one, it's 3 groups of 64 levels that you actually get, like, here's 64 levels, and you can kind of pick and choose. And then the total pain of this is that the last one, there's 64 more once you unlock a time trial mode.
Yeah.
And it doesn't tell you how many you've done. It just kind of gives you a new random one. So I have a whole bunch of tally marks making sure that I got through 64 of them. So I did beat the Game Boy's Mario Picross.
Okay, you NintenDON'T.
Nintendo. Family computer.
And then I went back to the SNES one and decided to mess around with the settings because I was having problems reading it and recognizing where symbols were on the screen.
Oh.
And there's a mode on the SNES to get it to replicate a CRT display.
Mm.
Yes, I've never used it before.
I had never used it before. It made it substantially more playable because the problem I was having was the background like they try to do texturing on the backgrounds.
Yeah. Okay.
And for me, it was making it very difficult to see where I'd X'd out things and to read the numbers.
Interesting.
And I think it's because to do the background, it's in a pixel level, it's, 3 or 4 different colors that are noticeably different, but on a CRT screen, they kind of blend together to give so it's not a flat background, but it smooths that out.
Okay.
And so that got it to be playable. And for that game, because I think the first one's got 256 levels, Super Mario Picross has 312, but it's split between Mario levels and Wario levels.
Correct.
So while I haven't solved every puzzle, I have rolled credits on it by completing the Mario levels.
Oh.
Okay, so if he rolled credits, Andrew, I think he NintenDON'T beat it, don't you?
Yeah.
He NintenDON'T.
Nintendo. Family computer.
And I'm about level 5 complete. I think I'm 5 completed on Wario's. So actually, the last one I did to complete a section was the chameleon that's replaced the screen.
Oh, interesting. So I'm heartbroken because I got really addicted to this game. I'd only ever played the Picross demo on the 3DS, and even then it was like 2 minutes of like, numbers. 20, like I wasn't in a place to be receptive to it. And I was really ready to trash this game on today's episode, and then something clicked. And all of a sudden I started seeing the patterns and the numbers and the correlation. And when that happens, it's a great moment because you're like, oh, I almost kind of speak the language of this game now. And so I got really, really hooked, and I used rewind quite a lot. So I got to this screen, Mike, that declares I have solved every puzzle in Picross. I did not go through all 64 time trial ones, but I think there's also an academic argument that this screen signifies that I have beaten the game and time trials is like extra.
I would say number one, this is exactly why I asked,
Uh-huh.
and it was credits or every puzzle. And the 64 and time trial are all new.
Uh-huh. Okay, so you clearly think I don't get the sound effect. I think I do. Andrew, be the tiebreaker here.
I mean, it says, congratulations, you have solved every puzzle in Picross, even though apparently there are 64 more after this. The game's telling you did it. I think that's you did it.
The modes are easy Picross, Picross, and time trial.
Uh-huh.
Time trial seems like a new game plus.
That's what I'm arguing. But I do also understand that Mike asked what I considered, and he followed by my rules. So you know what, Mike? I'm not going to play it for myself. I'm going to be the bigger man for once in my goddamn life. Oh, that hurts though. So then Super Mario Super Picross, I was blatantly cheating. I have footage of it. I have the solutions on my laptop screen and the puzzle on this thing, and I'm literally just coloring in the dots. Because I thought I had to beat all the Mario levels to try the Wario challenge. And for those who've never tried it before, Mario's is the gameplay I prefer, where you are chiseling in little boxes based on the patterns of numbers on the top and the side of the screen. And it's telling you essentially how many, the size of each chunk in that row or column, how many chunks there are, and what order they appear in. And you get penalized if you make a mistake. You lose 2 minutes for your first mistake out of your total 30. Your second mistake, you lose 4 minutes, and then every mistake after that, you lose 8 minutes. So you can game over pretty easily if you're not being careful. But Wario's is the opposite. There is no such thing as a mistake because you just can never beat it until you solve the puzzle without any sort of assistance being told if you got it right or wrong.
Well, the Wario time is going up.
Wario time is going up.
Yeah.
Yes. So Wario is essentially time trial mode from the Game Boy version. But you only need to beat 12 Mario puzzles before you unlock the first Wario stages. And I just never noticed this freaking hand on the menu screen pointing me to the left. I beat 120 Mario levels looking for this freaking hand.
Oh.
Right?
I was going to say, because the other part is because, so since this isn't Japanese,
Yes.
and I don't speak Japanese, I had my phone out for this. And so I had Google Translate up with the camera for things like the screen that basically says roughly you've unlocked the Wario puzzles after the end of the first one.
Yeah.
Also super cool is that I have learned what M and W are in this script.
Ooh.
Okay.
Because when you switch screens, so this says Mario's Super Picross, I presume, but definitely the first part is Mario.
Yeah.
Is when you switch over, it just a character flies in from off screen and goes right over the M to replace it with the W, basically.
Yeah.
Which is a super cool thing.
It's a fun transition effect.
Yeah, and Wario is always like that. From the start, he was always just like you flip over the M to be Wario. So Wario is always like pasting over Mario's name to make a name for himself. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
And I did not know that there was a Wario mode in this at all. So when that happens, like, oh, what the heck? Ooh, this is interesting now.
Yeah, that's fun. So I wanted to play a quick mini game minute, if you guys are down. This is going to be called A Picture's Worth 1,000 Squares. I, like a maniac, took a screenshot of every single puzzle solution in Picross. And not all of them are immediately obvious what you're looking at. it shows you the image, and then the game almost invites you to guess what it is, because then you press the button again, and then it'll give you the name of it.
Mhm.
So I'm going to show you guys a series of 12 pictures. This is a rapid fire mini game challenge. So the way it's going to work is that you're each going to say as fast as you can what you think it's an image of. Okay? Whoever gets the answer first gets the point, but you each only get one guess. So if neither of you get it, I will say the correct answer. I'll give you a clue.
You wouldn't rather that if we get it wrong, we just have to wait 2 minutes?
Or you just cut 2 minutes of me talking out of the podcast. You kill me that way. Okay, so you guys understand? You're just gonna blurt it out if you think you know it, but don't just keep out shouting things. Say one thing.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so let's start here with round number 1. In Picross, you see a wide variety of images, including
That's a Goomba. That's a
Bowling
Birth-
pins.
birthday cake.
So the first one was a Goomba, and the second one was bowling pins.
there's also images of
Platypus.
Crocodile.
platypus,
Duckbill. That was stroller.
strollers,
A race car.
race cars,
Stove. Oven.
wooden stove.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
Tie game 3-3.
We can't say that on this podcast.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a.
If you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing out, people.
That's a waterfall.
I have no idea.
Vacuum cleaner. Come on, guys, keep it classy.
That was ridiculous.
A lot of these, there's such a thing as you're going through these of like, if you focus on the wrong thing and think of it as like,
Yep.
you don't realize that like the thing you're focusing on is the negative space.
Correct. All right. How about
A
Walrus?
walrus?
I'm not giving you either. It's a seal. Neither of you are right.
Bathtub man.
A bath.
That Yoshi.
Mini
Mini
Yoshi.
Yoshi. Actually, I'm giving that one to Mike. It's 4-4.
Wow.
That's clearly Mini Yoshi is a distinct character, as we covered in our Super
All
Mario
right.
World episode.
Yeah.
And how about
Angel.
think Subway and matchsticks, Mike?
A kite.
Mm-hmm. Mike pulls ahead.
Wow.
And then one last one.
Rubber duck.
That is a tie. How'd that happen? I also would have accepted Mike snakes from a pot. This is a duck. Well, I wish I didn't have a tiebreaker. Actually, here, what's this one? I don't even know what this is.
That is a Japanese letter.
Yeah, that's a kanji for sure.
Mike wins. Mike wins 6-5. Good work, boys. Proud of you. So, Andrew, you said you love Picross. What do you like about these games? Something other than what you've already mentioned, of course.
I think it's a fun game style. I think it plays really well on a game. Some of these when they translate it from like a written type thing into a game, sometimes you lose some of the magic, but it's like the fun of it's like you are chiseling, like they make that part of the gameplay. So that's kind of fun to reveal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. I like, you were showing the puzzles that they replaced, but it is kind of like anything can be a puzzle. Anything can be a Picross image. So like even Marilyn Monroe was a stretch, but that's Marilyn Monroe. She's got the mole, she's got the lips.
Yeah.
The scream, it's like that's certainly the scream. Like, I'm certain I've played one where it was Mona Lisa. Like they like anything, like you can take recognizable art pieces and make it into Picross, or you can take animals. It's like there's different types. And I was talking to a friend recently, and he does print out versions of giant Picross. Like it is like 100 by 100.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
like it's just insane. And I think he just does a section at a time or something, but it's huge. He prints it out, and he's a teacher, so he has it on his wall at the school. And it's like it's fun to like kind of, he reveals a little bit every day. And it's like you can look at it like that, or like these are just bite size, 15 minutes or less. You just go in and you clear a puzzle, and it's just logic games. It makes it like fun. It feels very solvable. It doesn't feel too obscure or difficult. And then like we just played that mini game. Sometimes trying to guess what it's showing you is just as fun, because if you kind of catch on, you can see the patterns.
100%.
Yeah, so I mean, it just goes on forever, and I mean that's why I think the fun of they've made so many different versions on DS and all that, where it's like, yeah, these can just go on forever. They don't have to be anything particular, and they don't have to really change it too much. I mean, the squares get bigger. You know, you start with the 5x5, and then you go 10x10, then 15, then 20, and it just gets huge.
Right.
And I think that's, that adds to the challenge, and that's where the fun is.
Yeah. And I think like it's a really good casual yet challenging game.
Mhm.
So like I was waiting for because I got like eliminated in Warzone, and so I was just kind of sitting listening to my friend's Xbox chat, and I picked up my Switch and I did a couple of Picross puzzles. You know what I mean? Or like Jackie's watching 90 Day Fiance, and I'm like lying next to her playing some Picross because like you can pause the game at any time. And also, much like Clu Clu Land, like I think that for me, Nintendo Switch Online or Nintendo Classics, whatever you want to call it, is probably the best way to play these because I'm casual. When I make a mistake, I don't mind rewinding and okay, put an X there just because I don't want to have to retry again and redo a puzzle I failed. I just want to gradually reveal the image, even if I'm not playing the game the way it was meant to be played. I'm still enjoying it.
The game, the way it was meant to be played, is wrong.
What do you mean?
Way it penalizes mistakes, so you have a game over.
Oh, you're saying pen and paper is more like time trial mode.
I would say most of the other games I've played have also been more like that.
Okay. See, I prefer the version that goes oopsie and takes time off because then I can use the oopsie to help me solve the puzzle faster.
Yeah, but then you go oopsie, it takes time off, and then you rewind it so the time goes back on.
Yeah. Yeah. I have no problem with that because I'm having fun with the toy.
There is nothing more painful for me than to hear the oopsie noise. It's truly like, I'm like, no.
Especially if it's a misclick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, that one killed. I'm like, why?
It's really funny because in playing the game for this episode, like not to brag, but like I got my Switch too, right? And so the first half of the puzzles I was playing on my old Switch, and the second half I was playing on the Switch 2. And the joysticks on the Switch 2 are actually sensitive to the point that it made the Game Boy version much harder. And
Oh.
I had to use the directional buttons, which is not quite as comfortable form factor wise. And so it was this weird moment of like, whoa, like because you think about it, like an old Game Boy is like what, just a cross, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so games were programmed with the cross in mind. Well, now I have like so many degrees of fine motion that somehow it didn't quite translate.
I always just use the buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah, the directional pad is so much more accurate. I feel like I go to that naturally.
I prefer joystick if I can get away with it. Like I'll even play Street Fighter 2, the SNES version on the joystick if it feels right. It didn't feel right in this game. But I loved what Andrew said though about like it feels like you're really chiseling because like yes, it's a numbers game. Yes, it's a logic game. It also kind of feels like an art game and you're chiseling away at this rock and much like how artists can like picture the face they're trying to create and they always have that in mind as they're chiseling away at it, you can kind of, oh, okay, it looks like I've created a dog paw in this corner of the screen. So now let's take our, geometry skills from seventh grade or eighth grade and let's do a reflection and let's assume there's going to be a paw on the other side of the screen in exactly that place. Most of the time, the pictures are centered and symmetrical. So you kind of get help if you start to visualize it. Do you guys play that way? It's definitely how I played it. You're pure numbers, Mike?
Yeah.
But I think that the numbers back up that kind of visual play style. And if they don't, then you just know that it's not going to be like that. Like even looking at the one you have on the screen now, it's like you don't really see a symmetry. You do see like a like something in motion with like the two ones on the left turning into three ones, then five. So it's like something is like growing and then coming up. It's kind of interesting.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I never really. Okay. So you're seeing the bigger numbers and you can kind of see the beginnings of the code. Wow. That's
Yeah.
cool. It's like when the more you play this game, I feel like you kind of start to see the matrix and like all the little numbers start to form the images like Neo in the hallway, right? It's a cool feeling. It really is. Mike, what else do you like about it?
I would like to save my stuff to where we get between Joy Pros and Joy Cons, because you're kind of trying to talk about these as one game, and I think of them as two very different experiences.
Okay. So, Andrew, you cool to get into the comparison between the two?
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, take it away.
Okay, so, and again, a lot of this comes from that I play a lot of these. The Pro kind of is just as a general, logic kind of game, which I do like, and certainly these worked well for. These are really like ideal second screen games to me, where part of that has to do with the fact that I was thoroughly underwhelmed by the music, and
boop boop.
Hear
boop,
a lot of it.
Boop 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 boop. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, and so I muted that, and like I listened to a whole lot of nothing new during this.
Nice.
Because I'm just going through this, and I was like, I'm going to put something on. And so I think certainly with the first one, its biggest strength, I think, its biggest strength is time trial mode for me, because I think that was a much more fun mode. And so getting to that is where the game got better. And certainly I think the Game Boy version displays better on the screen. And I think a part of that is they're really trying to maximize screen space because it was on a Game Boy. And so I'm playing on a TV. It is clear and easy to read.
Yeah.
When I got over to the SNES version, I think it doesn't use the screen as well. I found it harder to read, and as they start getting into more complex puzzles, sizes start shrinking down, and it gets to a point where it's hard to read, but it had a bunch of quality of life adjustments that I appreciated. So like on the Game Boy, you cannot mark off on the sides if you've completed a block. You can kind of cross it out and be like, okay, no, I've taken care of that, which on larger puzzles becomes more useful.
Yeah.
They also really get rid of the chiseling animation in the original Game Boy that I found incredibly frustrating, and because you have to have you have the whole chisel animation and stuff that takes enough time that it was easy to mess up, because I would try to move as I'm trying to move and go okay, I know I have a whole row ready to go. And so getting rid of that was an improvement. Once I fixed the visual display thing somewhat on the SNES, it improved a bit more. And then because you very quickly get to the Wario's Super Picross, I enjoy that one a lot more as well.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have the penalty of I've accidentally clicked in the wrong spot, because 9 times out of 10, if I got penalized, I knew it was wrong as well. It was I clicked the wrong spot.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's slapping your wrist for something you already knew was a misclick, and it just roils you that way. I totally get what you're saying. It's just fascinating because Mike and I like very different styles of games, and I think that they were kind of wise to include sort of an arcadey dum-dum mode for Jaymo, where it's like, hey, wrong square, buddy. I'm like, thanks, game. And Mike's like, I'll figure it out. Don't condescend to me. I'm surprised at how much I like this. And I think it's because of that mode.
Yeah, and I think the worst was having situations where it was like, it's a wrong click, and now I am going to game over because I don't have enough time, because these are large puzzles.
And again, rewinding, I never cared about a misclick. I mean, it annoyed me, but it didn't ruin my day. I do think, though, it must be said, since we're talking about how the Super Nintendo and the Game Boy versions compare, is that Super Nintendo, a Game Boy, the most spaces you can have is a 3x3 puzzle. So that would be 15x15, right? So how many spaces? What's 15 times 15, Mike?
225.
225. And then the Super Nintendo, because they had the full television, the biggest one you can get is 5x4. So
25 by 20.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, 25 by 20, because each grid is 5 by 5. But anyway, much bigger puzzles. I like 2-player mode, Mike. Did you like it? I thought that was kind of fun.
I was not really a fan of it.
Andrew, did you ever try 2-player mode on Picross?
No, I didn't even know those existed until you mentioned them the other day. I was like, oh.
If you want, when we're done recording, you and I should do a puzzle real quick, because I thought it was fun. But Mike, so I liked it because it was fun to see that I was working in this part of the puzzle, and then I see you making progress, and I could see like speedrunners working together to get through a game like this, that could be really interesting from like a teamwork perspective and communication and whatnot. But what didn't you like about it? Was it me? It was me, wasn't it, Mike?
It's
It's you.
because these are logic puzzles, it removes the ability, I think, to be methodical.
Mm, mm. Okay. Okay. Even if I was getting it right, it was still interrupting your brain flow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But I love interrupting your brain flow, Mike. That's like my whole thing.
We have a whole podcast of that in a sense.
Yeah. Anything else you guys like about these games, or I guess want to complain about? I think we're kind of doing both at this point.
There's definitely I felt spoiled because of having played Picross on the DS and the way that some of those things will just automatically like on these. I didn't even realize on the Super Nintendo version that you could mark off the numbers on the side to
Yeah.
say that you've completed that number, because on the Picross version on the DS they just do that automatically. You just know you've knocked out that section of it. So but those are just little complaints where I'm like, well, this is an older game. Like, it's not going to have everything that the fancy new game has. That's for sure. And I jumped around. I didn't play in order because I was for the Super Nintendo one. I was just kind of like, okay, let me go to this level. Okay, let me go jump to the next. So I don't think I got like the full experience, but it was definitely some of those modern touches that are missing where I'm like, I know they figured this out eventually.
Yeah.
But even I mean, when I was playing Mario's Picross on the Game Boy like 10 years ago or whatever, when I rediscovered, I was like, oh yeah, I was like, yeah, it's not modern, but it was the fact that it was like a Game Boy and it felt like the classicness of it is what you're coming for, not the not modern sensibilities and like updated gameplay. So my complaints are so small and not even really about the game itself. I feel like the game it nails the premise, so I can't really complain that much.
I'm glad you said it that way too, because I think that this sort of falls into the same kind of brain space as like a crossword puzzle, where it's like it's timeless and it's so simple and it's the same rules every time, and that's why it's a fun, casual thing. And like you'd never complain that a crossword puzzle doesn't have like updated graphics or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just there's a purity to this kind of puzzle that I think is just really good design. Something that really drove me nuts is, again, I like the version where like it will tell you if you've made a mistake. And so on that same token, if you're playing the Mario version and you chisel away at a square and it breaks and you don't get penalized, you know that that's set, right?
Mhm.
But then you can still erase it and accidentally, why would you
Yeah.
let me erase it? If, like, how would that possibly help me? Why would I ever want to do that? But then, you go to Wario mode or time trial mode. Well, you have to have that option because you need to be able to correct mistakes.
A thing in that same vein where, and this is when I'm like, this definitely could have been done, is more specifically that I do not think it should let you directly overwrite.
Mm.
That if you put an X, it shouldn't let you just put a block over. And a large part of that is because there's something incredibly satisfying with these games being, okay, these are the ones that aren't. I can just fill in the rest.
Yeah.
And in either case of either filling in squares or filling in things it cannot be squares, this lets you overwrite those. And it's like, that was another thing of mistakes, to be like, okay, I have 5 in a row here, and then I've already X'd out the next few because I know that those can't be it, and have it go through and overwrite one where it's like, I have the right thing there. You've overwritten it. I don't like that. Was a bit where I'm like, it should not do that.
And it's so simple. It could have just been that instead of immediately overwriting your X, it just has an animation where it erases it and then breaks it. And you go, oh, okay, stop. It would have removed a lot of frustration and misclicks, especially for you since you're not rewinding.
Yeah, if it just used the erase, or if it was, because it has the erase, and just having the erase is, in my mind, like, that's fine. Just don't let one symbol overwrite the other.
Yeah.
Would have gone a very long way. And honestly, for me, not having a time limit thing, because there are puzzles where they're complex puzzles, and I'm like, in the time allotted, I cannot get through that whole puzzle.
Yeah. Just because the sheer number of clicks.
Also, just through the amount of like going through and checking things to the point where I decided, like, okay, this one feels fair because I've done it. Is I would have ones where I'd get through most of the time, take a picture of it, and then go back, and then it would still take like 10 minutes to fill most of it in. But I'd be like, I'm almost done with this thing, and I'm just going to run out of time. And I much prefer the time counting up.
You dirty cheater, taking a picture. I'm the king of the cheaters. That's not even cheating. Well, can I just give a shout out though? I thought I kind of touched on it briefly, but I love in the Super Nintendo version, some of the animations are really cute. Like they have there's a drinking fountain that's like, gurgling water and then it explodes for no reason. There's a little alarm clock that's kind of dancing, and to me is very like evocative of, or I guess it's not evocative. The Alarmo might have been inspired by this little animation, but it looks similar to me. My favorite animation was that one of the puzzle solutions for Picross is a Picross board. You
Oh.
recreate the entire Picross board, and then the winning animation, it fills it in and shows you the animation of the animation. So I did not get how, getting Inception by a 30-year-old puzzle game. Like that was a fun moment. Like my jaw literally dropped on the stream. I was like, oh my God, it's Picross with Imagery.
There was also a neat bit with the SNES version, since it has the Mario and Wario things
Yes.
and has scenes with Mario.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you go through the Mario one, each time you complete it, he basically says something along the lines of like, congratulations, you've completed this set of puzzles. Here's another one. And at the end, like when you actually beat all of that, he bows.
Oh, that's cool.
But when you do the Wario ones, what Wario says when you complete one is, I think, unfortunately, you beat the puzzles.
Nice.
Which was a nice extra touch of personality to those.
Yeah. And it's like, and the if you're playing the Wario puzzles, it's Wario's hand that swats the dust away, and it's Mario's like politely, just little stuff like that. It's like you didn't have to do that, but I appreciate that you did. There are just moments, and I think Andrew touched upon it earlier, where it's like you don't really know what you're looking at. But like for the Super Nintendo one, like I don't know the kanji alphabet. I don't know like what road signs look like in Japan. So there was a lot of puzzles where like I was just like, okay, I did it. I don't know what I'm looking at. And the animation is kind of undulating, so let's just go on to the next one. Like, I don't know. Anything else to say in defense or criticism of Picross or Super Picross before we render our verdicts, guys?
No.
I think for how long you spend on puzzles, I think the music could have been better, but
Yeah.
At this point, it's very easy to mute it and put something else on that's more entertaining.
And it's like I said, like a crossword puzzle. Like, the crossword puzzle has bad music, and it's like, change the station.
Yeah. And I suppose I do wish I could have I got tired of having to exit out of the prompts about hints. I wish I could have just said, stop asking me about those.
Oh, the hint was I was saying no, and then at a certain point I accidentally said yes, and then it was the most fun thing I've ever seen, where like a casino slot machine, the little randomizer picks what row and column it's going to show you. I was like, oh, I'm doing this every time now.
It's more fun, and like I said, I'm a casual gamer when it comes to puzzle. I mean, I'm a casual gamer in most regards, but like, it's like, yes, I'm gonna cheat anyway. Give me two full row, give me a row and a column. And it was hilarious when like the game would automatically fill in one for you that you knew was empty, and it's like, thanks,
the zero,
yeah, thanks, Picross. But you know what I did, Mike? I rewound that bad boy and spun the roulette again. Like, I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
God,
Mike.
you love rewinding. This is
I'm
like
addicted.
the most low stakes ever, and you're like, I gotta rewind.
You're not wasting my time, game. Andrew, you get me, and that's not a good thing.
To beat the first game was like 30 hours, just over 30 hours for me, and for the second one to get through all of Mario, 6 levels of Wario, was another 30 hours. So like, there is a lot of time, but to me, like the meat of that is the logic it out, and so kind of the hint thing runs against that for me.
But you know what's interesting? While we were talking, I fired up my Switch and I turned on the CRT filter for the Super Nintendo version. I cannot play that way. Like, that hurts my eyes. So leave a comment, or maybe we'll put a Discord poll. Does CRT improve this for you, or not? I'm curious why it'd be different for us.
Do you have the Switch docked?
No. Dock it.
because I suspect it's that because I'm playing it on a TV.
Okay. I'll try, Mr. Scientist. Okay, well, guys, that brings us to the moment of truth. We've covered the Joy Pros, the Joy Cons, and every bit in between. So it's time to declare each game from today's episode as a Nintendo or a NintenDO'N'T. So, Andrew, can you start us off? Let's start off with Clu Clu Land on the NES. Would you recommend it? Do you think it's worth people's time?
Yeah, that's a Nintendo.
Nintendo?
I think that'll for people who have played a lot of older games, I think it might shock them. It has like such a weird play style.
Yeah.
I think people should experience it.
Okay.
And I enjoy it. I honestly do enjoy it.
You're down for some Clu Clu. So there's other tiers. Is it a Super Nintendo? Is it Nintendo 64? Like, how far are you going to recommend it?
No, it's just a Nintendo.
It's a solid flat Nintendo.
Yeah.
Let's not go crazy. Mike, I think you're going a different way. Am I reading you right?
It's tough in that, on one hand, I do somewhat appreciate it is a interesting way of controlling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I appreciate that for that. And it almost just feels like there's just too many things that fell into making that way of playing enjoyable, in terms of like the way the time runs down, and in terms of, the ability to get stuck and not be able to get out kind of stuff, that I think puts this narrowly on the NintenDO'N'T side of things.
Okay. Reluctant NintenDO'N'T.
It's just like there's promise there where I'm kind of like, it's worth kind of checking it, where I kind of want to be like, it's worth checking out, but then I'm like, but then it gets really, really frustrating in a way that for me was not fun.
Yeah.
It's a disappointed NintenDO'N'T.
It was almost there.
Oh yeah, do you have levels of NintenDO'N'T?
It's the same one. Super NintenDO'N'T, NintenDO'N'T
Oh.
64.
I thought you'd go the other, like you name them after like Sega Genesis.
Oh, Mike's tried. He's tried to do a Virtual Boy or something like that.
Oh.
I wasn't going to bring
no.
I was slightly considering that because I think of that as the thing of, this isn't necessarily going to be good, but you should check it out just so you know what it is briefly. But like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to invest time in this. Just like, so you've seen what this is.
Okay, so look, because I like Andrew. Okay, I'm gonna meet you halfway here. What if it's a Virtual Boy, where it's like, it's worth checking out, but it's still bad?
I don't think it's not everyone's cup of tea.
I will allow a new category called virtual. No, I won't. This is madness. No, this is crazy. No, I take it back. I hate it immediately. I did not like Clu Clu Land. I'm tempted to go Nintendo because I think within 30 seconds of playing, you'll know if you're going to enjoy it or not. But I really struggle imagining why Andrew likes this game so much. It's so difficult and so hard to control, and in not a good way. So listen, I hate to do it. I was gonna be a Super NintenDO'N'T, but you've talked me down to just a regular, also kind of reluctant NintenDO'N'T. I'm sorry to overrule our guest, Andrew, but I just don't think Clu Clu Land is very good. But I'm happy. I love that for you, as our kids say.
I know I was fighting a losing battle. I
but
brought a loser into the arena.
But listen, though, like, I think it's the teacher in me. You always look for the good. You know what I mean? And there's other fans of this game out there. And if you're one of the 5 fans of this game that exist, like, leave a comment. You know what I mean?
This falls into game reviews like movie reviews. Part of the value is knowing, okay, these are where my tastes are, and this is where that person's tastes are. And so there is if this is a kind of gameplay you like, it can work. It doesn't work for me, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work for anyone.
I'm standing on the side of supporting the first woman in video games ever.
Yeah, you're tempting me. You're tempting me to jump sides, Andrew.
The first female protagonist in a Nintendo
I really
game.
don't want to be on the wrong side of history in 2025. Okay. Let's move on to Picross. Let's do Game Boy and Super Nintendo both at the same time. What's your verdict for each one, Andrew? Mario's Picross and Mario's Super Picross.
This is interesting because thinking of them, I just kind of automatically lump them together, but the gameplay is different enough that I to separate them out and render a verdict. I mean, I feel like Mario's Picross is a Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's just I would even go to like Super Nintendo for
All
the
right.
Game Boy version.
Love it.
But I think with the translation issues with the Mario's Super Picross, I'm on the verge of a NintenDO'N'T. I feel like it's the same gameplay that you love, but I think people it's not as appealing. And obviously they kind of knew that because it never did release in America. Like there's something about it where they're like, well, never mind. We'll just stick to what we have. I guess it does get a Nintendo because I do like the Wario Mario silliness that they throw in there.
Yeah.
It's a mild Nintendo for Super Picross, but Mario's Picross is definitely it's a Super Nintendo for me.
I'm fascinated, Mike. I'm gonna go next because I want to say the suspense because like he mentions like the Wario part. You can get to that much faster in the Super Nintendo version. You got to beat all of the Game Boy versions to unlock time trial mode.
Mhm.
And even though I know Mike prefers the Game Boy version, I wonder how that's going to sway him. So am I'm splitting the vote here because I really like the Super Nintendo version. I liked the weird animations. I really liked two-player mode. I liked the color. I liked some of the quality of life improvements to the point that I'm like, would I play the Game Boy version? And I don't think I would
Hmm.
because I think that everything that the Game Boy version does, the Super Nintendo version does, but it does more. And especially since some of the like I think both puzzles have like a leaf as one of the answers. So like you're kind of almost creating the same kinds of images. So not taking anything away from the Game Boy original, but because I think it kind of rendered irrelevant, especially since both games are actually at the same basic subscription for Nintendo Switch Online. If you have access to Picross, you have access to what I think is the better Mario Super Picross. So that's a Nintendo, and Game Boy is a NintenDO'N'T. Mike, what's your verdict?
I think, and this is coming at from someone who plays a lot of games in this genre. I think they both fall as Nintendo's.
Okay.
Part of that is there's so many other games in that space that are the same thing that have a lot of those additional features that really make this a lot nicer of an experience in terms of things like, okay, this game is not going to have me game over in such a frustrating way,
Yeah.
or things don't just overwrite like that, that make it a lot easier. And then certainly more modern games also have things like, if you've marked out blocks, it will update this top and the side to be like, okay, yeah, you put those on the board already. But at the same time, like, these are that whole genre is not a game that's terribly replayable, because the whole point with the logic puzzle is kind of like figuring it out, and those are tough to revisit. And so there's a sense where like I'm always kind of after more. And I don't think they both have things that frustrate me, but neither were to the point of not playing.
Yeah.
The SNES one was going to be, until I switched modes, and then graphically I could look at it and read it. So once I could do that, definitely it's more puzzles. I do recommend like Google Translate on a phone for it, just to figure out what some of the things you get shown are, but I don't think it's necessary. So even though it's not in English, really, once you have figured out the one prompt it shows you is, do you want a hint or not? There's nothing else that actually kind of you have to worry about what it's asking you about. Everything else is straightforward, or it's numbers.
Yeah. It's a universal language. There you go. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we're gonna call that game over for today. The final score for Clu Clu Land is a reluctant NintenDO'N'T, and both Picross and Mario Super Picross are both Nintendo's. The council has spoken. Andrew, thank you so much for taking us for a spin today. Before you get on out of here, why don't you tell our listeners one more time where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and various online places at Podcaster Andrew. You can check out Nothing New or Remake Podcast on pretty much any podcast app that you use. New episodes every month. We also have a Patreon where we have bonus episodes. So check all that out. It's is this releasing relatively soon?
No, we
About a month and a
recorded
half. 2 months.
A couple months out. Yeah.
Then it might be How to Train Your Dragon is our most recent episode.
Oh yeah, because are you guys at 100? You're coming up on 100.
We're so close. I we might have hit 100 and I missed it. No, I think maybe How to Train Your Dragon will be 100.
That'd be dope.
It's either that or the July episode, which I still want to be mysterious about, but it'll be
Ooh.
it's a big one. So
Okay.
if that's 100, that would be more thematically cool, but might be How to Train Your Dragon's 100.
Fix it in post.
Yeah.
We'll do it live. Okay, well, that all sounds excellent. Everyone join us next time when we'll be boosting into the big blue yonder with F-Zero for the SNES and F-Zero 99 for Nintendo Switch Online. Also, don't forget to visit www.theoldswitcharoo.com. There you can find links to our Spotify, our YouTube, Instagram, and all the social medias you can shake a joystick at. You can even leave an old-timey voicemail, meaning we would literally love to hear from you. Or even better, join the fun on our Discord server where you can play games, talk games, and even make a friend or two. Big thanks to Crystal Fields for our incredible intro song, and thank you, dear listener, for liking, commenting, subscribing, reviewing, and playing along with us every step of the way. This has been the Old Switcheroo, where we've been talking gaming retro with Mike and Jaymo.
I've been Mike.
And I've been Jaymo. Game on, everyone. Liked the Eddie. Well, actually, I kind of like both of them, to be honest. But the newer Haunted Mansion, I thought was actually okay. And the Eddie
I think the first one I appreciate as like if this didn't have Eddie Murphy in it, I think this would almost work. Which is a problem when he's the main person. And then the newer one, I just like it as part of the Disney live-action depressed physicist trilogy.
Oh,
what are the other two?
It's that, Sorcerer's Apprentice, and Tomorrowland.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Mike, is that a little close to home there, buddy?